Drunk Mythology friends. I'm Cait.
And I'm Other Jenn.
And I'm Kim.
And we're the
Drunk
Mythology Gals. I think we're all on like our own little track that is just chugging off the rails, all three independently of each other.
Yeah. It didn't even feel like anyone was trying to keep in sync with me.
Nope.
And that was kind of just deflating.
I'm just happy we didn't break the trend for our official 100th episode.
Right. Yeah.
So,
yay.
I mean, we actually technically have like 137 episodes, but that's Dracula and also A Christmas Carol.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, when we took A Christmas Carol and turned it into the East Boston Christmas Carol.
That was so fun. So much fun.
Oh, God. But yeah, this is our official main episode 100.
Yay!
And look, I thought hard about what I wanted to do. A recap, a celebration, a roast, Professor Cait, insider jokes. But you know what? I said, fuck it. And I went for all of it. I went full metal nerd.
She did. This is true.
And so to celebrate 100 official episodes, I worked really hard on this story. And I have a story today about chicken genetics, dragons, witchcraft, and honey badgers.
Bring it home.
Honey badgers?
Mm-hmm. Honey badgers.
Oh.
Yep.
Love. Yeah. Everyone knows what is going through my head, right? The
honey badger don't give a shit.
Honey badger don't give a shit.
And I hope that there will be no honey badgers were harmed in the making of this episode. But before we dive in, way back in episode 99, I did promise a big announcement, and here it is. Coming very soon in 2024 is our very first spinoff podcast. It's Murder Most Ancient. And I like to say it's Dateline with togas.
Cool.
And each sort of mini season will focus on retelling a true crime story, but with a twist, because I'm going to be looking at true crime before 1700 CE. So, there are so many podcasts out there that deal with relatively modern true crime, like late 19th century, 20th century, 21st century true crime. And there are only so many episodes about Jeffrey Dahmer and BTK and Edmund Kemper that you can listen to. And you're like, oh, really? 14 bodies? I've heard it before, And I was like, people have been horrible for a long time before this. So I think we should look at true crime from an ancient standpoint. So I'll be sharing more about Murder Most Ancient as we go forward, and you'll want to check it out for crime stories you've never heard of and that are oddly familiar because, as I always say,
nothing is new and people are horrible.
That we can do pretty close.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. By the way, do I have to audition again?
No.
Okay.
No. I like
you had the option of auditioning.
Yeah,
not really.
Thank you for couching it so nice. I've never heard kidnapping described like that before, but that's okay. So now, before we get started, what are our sacrifices to Odin this week?
Oh my God,
Jen?
I feel like it's been a year that I've had almost the same answer. And it's like, this can't have been going on for an entire year. Could it? Has it? Enterprise level software migrations and accounts that don't balance by 3 fucking pennies. 3 pennies.
That is closer than either of us will ever get.
No, but the data is supposed to just like copy paste. Where did the 3 fucking pennies go?
Back me up on this. Balancing a checkbook.
Why?
Oh my God. Oh
Bank
my
does math
God.
better than I can every single time.
Exactly. I never balance my check. I just look
I
at
don't
the
think I
account.
balanced my checkbook since I had an actual physical paper checkbook.
Oh,
Oh my
that's right.
God.
I haven't ordered checks in forever.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so triggered.
Have you got the twitch like under one eye, right?
Yes. Yes.
For me, it is remodeling project number 375 coming up. Starting next week, we'll be ripping up our kitchen floor.
What could
Oh,
possibly go wrong?
Lord.
And as for me, I'm on day 7 of my cold, and I don't have COVID, but I have coughed up one entire lung. But that's fine because I got one just like it on the other side.
You got
So
to
if you-
spare. It's like
I
a
got to spare.
kidney. You
So
got two of them.
Yeah, if you hear something that sounds like chains being dragged along the bottom of the ocean, it's me coughing.
It's the ghost of Molly.
Yeah. It's my other lung, is what you're hearing.
All right.
So what are we drinking?
NyQuil, obviously.
You know, I respect that choice. I've got Jack in my whiskey glass. Jen?
Okay. Oh, all right. I'll tell you what I'm doing. It just occurred to me that I have to write down the disclaimer, witty remarks, and so on.
It
She's
just
like, oh shit, I have a job coming up in literally 4 seconds.
Yes, exactly what's happening. I'm scribbling things down.
All right, let's fill, Cait. So,
Yeah,
I've got a
so-
lovely pitcher of NyQuilatas. I got one for each of you. They're all ready to go.
Actually, when you said Nyquilodis, I was like, sounds like a forgotten Greek god. The saga, the ode of Nyquilodis.
NyQuilatas, I like it.
Yeah, we should have a pantheon of forgotten Greek gods.
Sure.
All right, Jen, are you ready? What are you drinking?
Yes, yes. Okay, so for episode 100, I went with the Belvedere vodka.
Nice.
Nice. Good
We're
choice.
doing it up
Yeah.
old school. All right.
Yeah.
And now
Yep.
for the disclaimer.
Okay. Do not drink and drive. Cars, chariots, 8-legged horses, unbalanced checkbooks, flooring projects, wandering lungs, NyQuilatas, and lost pennies.
Very nice. Okay.
Good
So
job.
let's get started. A long time ago, when the world was young, and people still got stupid ideas about stupid shit, and don't come at me for this one. Okay, so look, I am not a huge fan of Karl Marx. He's pedantic. I mean, he's like every other 19th century philosophy writer, uses far too many words. He really didn't think things through with all of his theories. Personally, that's my opinion. And honestly, he really should have talked to Freud about the baser impulses of human nature before being so optimistic about like production and shit.
Sure.
But Marx did say something that holds true. And Other Jenn, will you do the honors?
Okay. History repeats itself. We've all heard that line.
Sure.
First as tragedy, second as farce. I've never heard the second half of that before. I've only heard history repeats itself. I've
Yeah.
never heard the rest of this.
Well, there's another quote, and I can't remember who it's attributed to because there's this big false attribution that becomes really famous because of Jonestown.
Oh,
Side
yeah.
story. But it's those who do not learn from history are doomed to, condemned
Doomed to
the-
repeat it.
Yeah. So that's a totally separate quote. But yeah, first is a tragedy and second is a farce. And I'd like to say that sometimes history has no redeeming qualities, as demonstrated by this quote, which, as I found, has been attributed to both Carol Burnett and Mark Twain. And I'm okay with both. Tim, if you would.
The quote is, comedy is tragedy plus time. And it's been attributed to many people. And I at first thought it was Mel Brooks, but no, Mel Brooks was the one that said, comedy is when you fall in a manhole and tragedy is when I fall into a manhole.
Oh, okay. There are redeeming things about humanity. I give it a pass.
Okay.
But honestly, it's really the second quote that fits our story today, which involves Switzerland, Satan, and chicken genetics.
I I'm afraid. I
Cait,
am
you need
so
to go
afraid.
outside and touch grass, man.
Welcome to the story of the rooster of Basel. Yes, Basel, Switzerland, the spiritual homeland of our very own OG. But this is Basel in the year of our Lord Horseradish, 1474 CE.
Oh my goodness.
In 1474, in Basel, a rooster was brought to trial for the crime of laying an egg.
Wait. Can I pause you there, or are you going to get to this?
We're going to get to this.
There's no way to stop her from getting to this.
There's a problem here, though, right? Everyone,
Yes.
Rooster
Yes.
lays an egg.
Yes.
You caught right to the heart of it, though.
And
very incisive.
and beyond that, it goes to trial as a crime. Okay. Oh my God. Okay.
You really didn't read ahead, did you?
I'm not
That is her
allowed to.
role. That
I'm
is her
not
job.
allowed.
Yes.
Okay, go on.
So, look, let's do a quick recap about Basel.
Okay.
Okay. Gotta get the oxygen into my lungs for this. The ancient history of Basel up to this point kind of follows the Central European model of Neolithic and Bronze Age Celtic people settling in, then getting fucked over by the Romans, then falling prey to the confusion of the early Middle Ages in terms of borders, territory, church authority, and TikTok trends. Oh, and the Black Death in the 1340s, because why not? Everyone else was doing it. Also, sad to say, they also went along with everyone else and blamed the Jews for spreading the plague, burning around somewhere around 70 Jews in January 1349, which is known as the Basel Massacre, also in the year of the plague. Just as people were emerging from their pandemic, which took the form of quarantine, quack cures, and anti-Semitic conspiracy theory rampages, say it with me, nothing is new and people are horrible. There was the Great Earthquake of 1356, which was estimated to be between 6.1 and 7.0 on the Richter scale, which is not insignificant since I live in California and know these things now. And yes, because I'm me, I actually found the Swiss Seismological Service website that's charted the major earthquakes and general seismological activity in the history of Switzerland. The 1356 Basel earthquake still holds first place for intensity. But the point is, if you look back at Basel in 1474, it's just over 100 years since the Black Death, which literally killed between 30 to 50% of the total population of Europe, devastating local, national, and regional economies for generations and creating huge social upheavals followed by a major local catastrophe.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
that is a lot of trauma for that small area in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And then, that's like 80 years prior to what we're talking about. And if you look at a parallel with the US, like look at the Civil War, World War I, World War II, not to mention even Vietnam and the Gulf War, we can see how economic depression, shrinkage of educational and social opportunities, technological advancement in the face of religious upheaval, and like multiple Maslow's hierarchy worthy existential crises create an environment where people believe crazy shit and struggle to reconcile that with reality, resulting in Jewish space lasers, cheese pizza on trial, and QAnon.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
So, just as a quick aside, one of the things that as we move forward with our podcast that I'm looking forward to doing is kind of tying more of the past to today and showing, nothing is new and everybody's horrible. But, things do repeat themselves and we do fall prey to beliefs and weird things. And, maybe we could learn something. I don't know. But basically, after the 1356 earthquake, there were lots of riots, skirmishes, political machinations, again, trying to untangle the knot of Habsburg, Swabians, Byzantine agents, and popes in the Middle Ages is just don't. Like, the sheer number of Leopold involved is boggling. So many Leopolds, not to mention, like, there were a couple of Eugenes and a wagon load of Johanns. It's like a lot of chaos, uncertainty, and the occasional accidental bit of progress.
Oh.
But, there was progress. The first university in Switzerland was founded in Basel in 1459. And that would draw notable Renaissance scholars like Erasmus and Paracelsus, whose original name was Theophrastus von Hohenheim. And I would totally have changed that shit too.
Oh my goodness.
Your Frostes von Hohenheim. And in 1461, one of Gutenberg's apprentices set up a print shop in Basel. So politically, Basel was actively buying and incorporating lesser towns and villages and farms around it. And it was just, like when a center city kind of grows into, and this was a word that I heard once in college, and it just has stuck with me, a conurbation.
What?
I like it.
Conurbation with
Okay.
urban area. And in 1501, it became officially the 11th canton of the Swiss Federation. And this is important. In terms of religion, Basel was still very much Catholic at this point. Martin Luther wouldn't commit the OG shitpost of nailing his 95 theses to the door of the cathedral until 1517.
Oh.
So, but, that's that's like 30 years, but 30 years in that point, that's a short amount of time if you're looking at the spread of information and unrest. So there was clearly a lot of unrest in the Catholic faith at this point as well.
Yeah.
And despite all this, 1474 wasn't really a year of peace and plenty. The Burgundian War, sadly nothing to do with wine, had just broken out and would rage on for 3 years, with the old Swiss Confederacy pitted against the Dukes of Burgundy. Yeah. War meant roving bands of starving, unpaid soldiers traipsing across the landscape, sacking as they went, and it didn't matter if they were on your side or not. Loot was the key, especially since most lords were notorious for being late or flat out lying about their ability to pay their soldiers, who were mostly conscripted serfs led by knights who despised them and took the best loot for themselves anyway.
That sounds fair.
Literally, forget all this like chivalry bullshit that you've read about with knights and damsels. Like these guys,
Yeah.
they, forget Vikings. Vikings had nothing on the roving bands of mercenaries in the Middle Ages, like
Aw.
for pillaging and all that other stuff. So what am I trying to say? Don't answer that. It's rhetorical.
Damn it.
But if you're a little overwhelmed, confused, stressed out, and wondering where it all went wrong, this is exactly what everyone in Basel in 1474 was feeling. And in the middle of all this, a rooster decided to lay an egg.
Yeah, we gotta, yeah, I'm waiting to get to this. Yeah.
And this was clearly the most important and sensational thing to happen in decades, right? So the rooster was put on trial. Now, let's lay out the facts of the case as it was taken straight from the horse's mouth. Get used to it. The animal jokes will be coming thick and fast.
Oh my
from now
God.
on. So Kim, if you would.
Ahem. An excerpt from the Chronicle of Basel, published by Johann Gross, 1624. In the month of August, in the year 1474, a cock of the city was accused and convicted of the crime of laying eggs and was condemned to be burnt with one of his eggs in the Kublenberg, right? Kublenberg? Or public square, where the ceremony took place in the presence of a vast concourse of spectators.
I mean, everybody was in line for chicken barbecue.
Everybody wanted to see that cock, man, right? Show me the cock. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of entertainment at that point. I would have come out too. I wanted to see the cock.
Executions, people, there were fast food sellers. Like, you ever been to a baseball game where people run up and down the aisle saying, peanuts, get your peanuts here. Yeah,
Yes.
that was the same thing. People would be like, get your meat pie here.
Okay.
Like, executions were family affairs. People brought their kids. People brought picnics. This continued well into the 19th century in America too, as well.
Oh my word.
Oh yeah.
They were tailgating.
Yeah. Yes. Executions were ancient tailgates.
Oh, this is horrible. This is just
nothing is new.
Oh,
horrible.
So Interestingly, it was actually very hard to find verification that this quote from Johann Gross was the actual source and not just sort of a restatement of a source that someone may or may not have read by a lot of 19th century scholars who got into like this huge academic snit fit with each other over the morality and real meaning of animal trials. But
Yeah.
yes, it is the actual test because I nerded out again and found the actual manuscript page.
Oh my goodness.
I did not translate it because A, I wanted to keep my eyesight, and B, I don't speak Swiss Deutsch.
Well, how
Oh,
do you say cock in Swiss Deutsch?
I don't know, and I'm
Okay.
not going to ask OG's parents.
Coward.
yeah.
But yeah,
Oh.
I have included a page from the manuscript.
I see this. I'm like, I have to zoom in because my eyesight is not so great these days.
You don't even need to
And
zoom in. There's
it looks like Basler Chronicle is the
Mhm.
title.
Yes, that is the
Yeah.
only readable
And-
part.
And I can identify numbers 119.
And then you
And
see
1474.
1474.
Yeah, there's 1474 in the margin.
So
that's about all I got.
Ich bin eine enorme Schwanzstucker.
Oh my god.
Thank you and good night.
Ich bin ein Berliner. But actually, a friend of mine who did a PhD in Middle Ages comparative literature, she had to take a specific class on learning how to read the different calligraphies pre-Gutenberg.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like,
Mm.
that I would love that kind of class. But anyway, the thing is, the story of the rooster, the cock of Basel, doesn't just end there. We have reporting about the arguments from the prosecution and the defense.
Okay.
Because, yes, the city appointed a public defender for the rooster.
Oh my god. These people had nothing to do. They were bored. That's the only answer I have.
And now you understand why modern politics has me, and modern society just makes me rage, because I'm like, we've been here. We've done this.
Yeah.
But I have recreated a court transcript based on the historical record because I can. So, Kim, you get to be counsel for the defense.
Fabulous.
Other Jenn, you are our Madam Prosecutor.
Yo, boy.
And I will sit in judgment.
As usual.
Nothing is new. The court will now... Oh, hang on. I have a sound effect for this. Hold on. I don't care if this gets canceled, but I got this at Marshall's.
Oh, dear.
Well played. Very nice. Very nice.
All right. The court will now hear the case for the defense.
Thank you, Your Honor. My lords, I come before you to prove that this cock is innocent of the heinous crime of laying an egg.
Objection! Misrepresenting the evidence. This cock most certainly did lay an egg.
Overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor. While my client may indeed laid an egg, there was no crime because there was no criminal intent. In fact, this cock cannot have criminal intent because laying an egg is a physical reflex. It was purely involuntary, and such acts are not punishable by law.
Objection! Speculation. While the law doesn't punish accidents or reflexes, the defense has no idea what is going on in the mind of a cock.
I think we can guess.
Therefore, cannot prove its intent was innocent.
Sustained.
Fine. All right, but even if this cock did lay an egg with malicious intent, neither the cock nor its egg has caused any harm to man or beast.
Yet,
Furthermore, we reject the accusation that this cock engaged in sorcery by means of a contract with Satan.
Wait,
Nowhere in
what?
the- I know, I don't know where this came from.
Nope.
Bible
The
is there is-
Excuse me. It is part of the accusation.
Okay.
Nowhere in the Bible is there a single story of Satan entering into an agreement with an animal in exchange for magical abilities.
objection! The state would like to enter the story of Gadarene swine into evidence.
Your reason, counsel?
Satan doesn't need to make contracts with animals. He just straight up possesses them, like the the swine, that place that I can't pronounce.
The pigs from that place.
Yeah.
Sustained.
I think I speak for all of us when I say the what?
So there's a
Well,
story in the Bible where there's a man that's possessed by
Jen, then
evil.
you're just
Yeah.
going to have to read this quote
Uh-oh.
from that I'm quoting from this brilliant blog post on the blog Esoteric. So Jen, you.
Now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now. We'll get back to you.
For those of you who have yet to brush up on your New Testament case law, Jesus purportedly extracted a demon out of a man and put it into an unfortunate herd of pigs, causing the pigs to run down a hill and drown themselves in a nearby lake. Not exactly a charitable use of pork. This is one of those rare instances where the answer to what would Jesus do is drown a pig.
I want to make bracelets.
I've learned something today, and I try and avoid that whenever I can.
But literally that is the story of the Gadarene swine.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And while I may have taken some literary liberties with the dialogue, these are the points of the argument. The defense tried to say it was a physical reflex, and that Satan there was no record of Satan ever making a contract with an animal, because most witchcraft trials in the Middle Ages and Renaissance times and the Enlightenment and early modern and 19th century all focused on Satan making a contract, deal with the devil, right?
Right.
But animals can't make deals. And the prosecutor said, haha, but he just straight up possesses them, and brought up the Gadarene swine, which I actually technically am like, that's not a deal though,
Yeah.
That's sort of a byproduct.
Yeah. So unfortunately, and I actually hate this part because I hate cruelty to animals. The rooster ended up as a public barbecue for the masses. I mean,
Oh.
I would assume that at least the executioner got a nice chicken dinner for once. But here we are. The rooster and the egg were convicted, sentenced, and burned in the public square, along with another one of its eggs joining it at the stake.
Ugh.
So there were 2 eggs and a rooster at the stake.
Oh.
And they say there was an autopsy after, but I'm like, that's what they call carving up the chicken. But the executioner reported that there were 3 more eggs found in the rooster's oviducts. And in case there are questions in the back, no, roosters don't have oviducts.
Right. This was not a rooster.
And just in case you're willing to write this off as late medieval superstitious bullshit, a last gasp of people believing stupid shit before the Age of Enlightenment, you should know there was another egg-laying rooster put on trial in Basel as late as 1730, only 46 years before the American Revolution.
So it was a hotbed of cross-dressing roosters in Basel.
Right.
For some reason.
George Washington might have eaten a rooster egg.
Maybe.
You never know.
Chickens wishing they were roosters.
Roosters wishing they were chickens.
Dogs and cats living together.
Mass hysteria. Name that quote.
Right.
But the question remains. So aside from a quote-unquote rooster laying an egg, and was it a rooster, why were people so freaking worked up? We'll get into that next in Questions and Shit.
We now return to the Drunk Mythology Gals for part 2, Questions and Shit.
So before we go casting our 21st century stones, we must acknowledge all the people out there who actually believe in conspiracies, from QAnon to contrails. There's actually, I heard recently that there is actual legislation in some states like Tennessee that have passed the legislature about investigating contrails. Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's really and serious for these people. And as we mentioned back in one of in the capstone Dracula episode that we did with our friend Frederick, friend of the podcast, Digging Up Ancient Aliens, there are 12 million Americans today who legitimately believe reptilian aliens secretly rule the world.
Oh
And
my
they're
word.
allowed to vote just the same as you are, so that should tell you something.
And they can own guns.
Oh my goodness.
And most of them do. Anyway, correspondingly, there must have also been people back then in Basel who were like, this is bullshit, but I have to play along. You know, because the church back then was a thing. Like they liked, you know, you didn't believe? Oh, well, it's the steak for you and steak for me. And the thing is, that said, anybody with an ounce of rationality back then was facing an uphill battle against literally centuries of established belief, including an oddly specific set of beliefs regarding roosters who laid eggs.
Mm-hmm.
And if you thought all the references to cocks were over, you were wrong.
Oh, thank goodness.
The whole reason a rooster egg was feared was because it would hatch a cockatrice.
A what?
A cockatrice.
Okay.
So many jokes. So many jokes.
It's not a chicken playing dominatrix. It's a cockatrice.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And what is a cockatrice? Well,
Yeah.
it depends on which of the multiple origin stories you believe.
Fuck. Are you serious? Damn it. Oh my
Now
god.
you know why the list of references is so long.
Okay.
So, in the King James version of the Bible, the nice penultimate Protestant reference, Isaiah and Jeremiah mention the cockatrice several times. And the references there seem to imply it's some kind of adder or asp, so some kind of poisonous snake.
Okay.
But this actually is reflected a little bit later in some medieval quote-unquote nature guides. And I use that term very loosely because these are the same people who a century or two later would have like, you know, in the New World, there are quote-unquote natives with faces in the centers of their chests.
Oh, I've seen those pictures, yeah.
Freaky.
Yeah.
That's a delight.
But these medieval nature guides used the cockatrice synonymously with a basilisk, also referring to something closely resembling a snake.
Okay.
However, we get a different origin story by the way of Pliny the Elder.
Oh, shit. I remember that name.
Yes, the Roman nature writer who was too fat to flee Pompeii after the explosion of Mount Vesuvius.
He's
like, I need a nap.
Oh, right.
Legit.
That guy.
He had a thing where he was describing Egyptian crocodiles on the Nile and how they would open their mouths wide to allow birds to come in and clean their teeth.
Okay.
It's kind of like, you know, you've seen like the sharks that swim and they have the little fish.
The little fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bird thing is true. Yeah, I've seen that.
So
not in person, obviously, but I've seen that.
Well, I've also seen the crocodiles with the birds. I'm like, that is crazy.
I feel like I've seen pictures of this.
Yeah. I remember, like, did you ever watch like Mutual of Omaha
Wild Kingdom, of course.
Yes. And
we just all aged ourselves.
right. And Sir Alec Guinness doing the
David Attenborough.
But
He's my
Alec
man.
Guinness did a couple of them for like either that or Nova or whatever. But so Pliny was describing the crocodiles and the birds, and he also described the honey badger, also known as the Egyptian mongoose, who gave no shits and would attack crocodiles and snakes.
Oh, yeah, they do.
And so this took a lot to unravel, but basically through a couple of centuries of misunderstandings, linguistic issues, and weird translations, people basically confused and mushed together the honey badger, birds, crocodiles, snakes to create the cockatrice.
Oh,
look at him.
And by the time we're in the full swing of the Middle Ages, the cockatrice is a cross between a rooster and a dragon.
That is just so sad.
That's going to be my next tattoo, that little guy.
Oh
Right?
my god.
I like him.
Like, isn't he cute?
Rooster with a dragon body. Yeah.
He looks like he would be Fenrir's pet.
Yeah. Or he's like a cousin of Jormungand Yogurt Man.
Yeah, Jormungand.
Yogurt
Did I get the name right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Unlike me.
OG would be so proud.
I know. So why is a cockatrice so feared? I mean, he's cute. So a cockatrice, or basilisk, if you want to go all Harry Potter, because that is the reference, can turn you to stone if you happen to look it in the eye.
Oh.
Ooh, just like the weeping angels of Doctor Who.
Or Medusa.
Or Medusa, yeah.
So original.
Fuck Poseidon. Anyway, the only way to kill a cockatrice is to have it look in the mirror, turning itself to stone, presumably, or to have it hear the crow of a rooster. Which, given that it's the offspring of a rooster, I feel like that has all kinds of Freudian implications.
Oh, yeah.
Or you can get yourself a honey badger, because apparently they don't give a shit and are immune to the effects of a cockatrice.
Honey badger, don't give a shit.
Now, if you do come into possession of a rooster egg and don't have a Swiss judiciary handy, you can always destroy the egg by throwing it over the roof of your house and having it land on the other side without hitting the house.
Okay.
And I did contemplate experimenting this, but I don't want to clean it up.
Your neighbors must just love you. What's Cait doing? Don't look at her.
Don't look. Don't make
eye contact.
I'm already like that. They didn't need this. They're like, it's the chick with the crazy 3 dogs. Sounds like gremlins in her house when we walk by. One lady said to me, my dog is scared to walk past your house.
Are you sure it was because of the dogs?
I mean, maybe she was being nice. But yeah, but the only thing I can think of is, houses, most peasant houses were like 1 story back then. You weren't exactly having to do like the 20-foot throw. Like you might be able to get it. I don't know. But speaking of experiments, let's talk chicken genetics.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm probably going to nerd out on this if this.
Yes, because there is an actual answer to this mystery.
Okay.
We are going to come forward in time to the year of our Lord Horseradish, 1922 CE. Okay. The National Poultry Journal of London
okay.
printed a story about a chicken being exhibited at a Westminster poultry show. It's not just for dogs. To be precise, this chicken was a Buff Orpington hen.
Okay.
Apparently there are as many specialty breeds of chickens as dogs, or almost as many. I learned things today.
Yeah.
And I know that some of you are still stuck on the National Poultry Journal.
Yep.
Anyway, Buffy the Cockatrice Slayer.
Oh.
Sorry, not sorry. Clucked like a hen and laid eggs, but had the plumage of a rooster. And this is my favorite part of the whole episode. This chicken was discovered by a Mr. H.M.B. Spur. I am not making these names up.
Okay.
He was a student at the Aylesford Training Center. And one night while he was doing his rounds of the nests, he found Buffy, or Buffo, in the number 4 box in the number 6 pen at 11:45 p.m. He's like, this is weird. This is like all for, nesting, laying chickens, but this chicken looks like a rooster. So thinking quickly, he locked Buffy in an isolation nest and finished his round. At 12:25 a.m., he came back and released Buffy, finding that there was a brand new Buff Orpington egg, but with Buffy being the only one who could have laid it.
You need that dun-dun for that. Thank you.
I saw this. I've been waiting since December to use this. He told the National Poultry Journal of London, quote, "Seeing is believing, sir, and although previously doubtful, I am now assured that this cock of the south does not lie. It lays."
Oh my goodness.
Delete your account, sir.
Oh my God. Yes. What's the
It's so funny.
image of the guy that is like the black and white movie with the guy with the hat, and he's like, "Get out, get out,
Get out.
get out."
Okay. But their American cousins were busy with their own cock issues too.
Oh dear, no.
In 1927, the Journal of Heredity reported on the case of the rooster of Madison. This particular bird had the plumage of a brown leghorn cock,
All I hear is foghorn leghorn.
Me too.
but
Same.
was regularly laying eggs. The
Oh,
Poultry Husbandry Department of the Wisconsin Experiment Station, which
Wow.
just shows you there's a job description for everyone in this world, had acquired foghorn.
you
because-
did say foghorn.
I did. I was trying not to laugh because I'm like, foghorn's coming up. They acquired foghorn in 1922. The thing is, apparently, several poultry experts acknowledged the male plumage, but they judged the rest of the bird to be rather effeminate.
Oh.
And I never knew I could feel offended on behalf of a bird, but
Right?
I kind of do.
Oh,
So the science behind our gender bender egg offender,
oh my goodness.
I'm sorry, again, can't help myself, but sorry, not sorry, is actually not really about being on a continuum of genetic hermaphroditism, as in the case of intersex people. And if you want to know more about that, check out our episode, The Pudding Cup of Justice, for more about how nothing is new and people are horrible, especially when it comes to the LGBTQI folks and mythology.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, as I said in that episode, I'm not using hermaphrodite to refer to people. That is an outdated term, and it's intersex now, which sounds a lot better anyway, because the original comes from Hermes and Aphrodite, and it's a story for another time.
Oh,
But-
right.
Yeah, trust me. Hermaphroditism is still valid as a specific scientific term, mostly used at a cellular or genetic level. And I
Okay.
can't go into more detail because then it becomes very, very sciencey and beyond anything I know or you want to know.
There we
So-
go.
I've already learned way more than I want to know. You might as well go on.
Not
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, our little foghorn wasn't an intersex chicken. It turns out chickens that manifest quote unquote male plumage usually have some kind of ovarian tumors, disease, or temporary hormonal imbalance. If the diseased ovary or tumor is removed, the chicken's plumage returns to its quote unquote female form. And the same is the case when there's some kind of spontaneous hormonal disturbance that resolves over time. And I'm like, chicken PMS? Chicken puberty? I have questions.
Yeah.
So while experts might be disdainful and the public puzzled with foghorn, a white leghorn rooster wasn't fooled and went right for her and mated with her. She lost her quote unquote male plumage in the fall molt of 1922, took on the appearance of a normal hen, and went on to live a happy, eggy life ever after.
Wow.
Wow.
The fucking end. Happy 100 official episodes.
Damn. Okay.
So I'm getting that what happened in Basel in the 1400s was basically their version of arresting drag queens reading stories to kids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That was okay. This was entertaining and disturbing. Anybody drunk?
No.
No.
But we're getting there because I've only got a half a Snickers bar in me.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
does NyQuil make you drunk? I mean, let's.
Yes.
Well, maybe.
But
Well,
have you
it's
looked
not-
at the alcohol?
It is like
by volume on
90%
that shit?
alcohol.
What do you think a hot toddy is?
Yeah, it's like alcohol and drain cleaner.
You know, is it wrong? Is it wrong?
I got
So-
it behind the CVS. I didn't actually get it at the CVS.
It's where you get the good shit.
So there's some question as to what exactly is in there.
Yeah. So I actually am working on the episode for next week where we'll be talking about toxic group therapy, or as I
Cool.
like to say, synonysis. Have you ever heard of
we have-
Have you
We
ever
have
heard
1
of
week to learn how to pronounce that.
Right.
Have you ever heard of synonon?
Oh yeah, okay.
And
I've heard of
Dionysus?
synonym.
No, synonon. It's It's currently a documentary on HBO.
Okay.
Yeah. So, toxic group therapy. But
Oh, fun.
yeah, in the meantime, subscribe yourselves to our social media scrolls, which we'll get back to them. We're on Instagram at Drunk Mythology Gals.
We're on TikTok, allegedly, at Drunk Mythology Gals.
We're on YouTube at, you guessed it, Drunk Mythology Gals.
Or you can check out our Patreon, which has extra episodes and all sorts of good stuff at patreon.com/Drunk Mythology Gals.
We have an email address, but I don't recommend trying to communicate with us that way. But if you really feel so inclined, gals at drunkmythologygals.com.
We'll check it before the end of the year.
Will we?
Which year?
Yeah, there's the key. She didn't
There we
say
go.
which year.
So thanks again for joining us. Please subscribe, leave a rating or review, and tell your friends and family about us, especially if they're like, hey, we got barbecue chicken. And you're like, hey, let me tell you about this transgender rooster and how people are really horrible.
Oh, I'm going to save that one for Thanksgiving.
Oh, I'm coming to
hope-
your house.
You know, maybe
Kim.
never get invited back, fingers crossed.
I'm going wherever you're going, Kim.
You know, we're here. We're not here to harm. We're here to help. And
When's
finally,
that going to start?
the helping or the harming.
Either one.
Always remember, if the gods can behave badly and some chickens, so can you.